Thank you very much. Well, thank you. And it genuinely is one of the greatest pleasures to be here. And not only because it's great to talk about this fantastic and worthwhile cause, but also I am secretly in love with Alice. There it is. I have declared it. I absolutely adore Alice. And I was saying earlier, I actually have the Alice T-shirt at home. But we and a great ambassador, I think, for everything that we're trying to achieve here. What I'd like to do is just maybe do a little bit of scene setting and tell you why I am so passionate about making sure that we get STEM education and really encourage all those engineers of the future. And for me, it is not something that I have just suddenly come to. It's not just something that Alice phoned me about last week and said, hey, can you come and do a speech? It's actually something that I have believed in passionately for as long as I can remember. And I have been a school governor now for 20 years. It's one of the things, even as a member of Parliament, that I kept up. I actually did girl guiding for 20 years as well, because I just believe if we invest in our young people, it really is the opportunity it takes us forward to the future. So I just wanted to reflect a little bit on the past, if I may. And I really wanted to acknowledge one of the greatest people I've ever come across, who was my nan. And she was 97 when she died a few years ago. And she was an absolute inspiration. And in fact, I remember 2 years before she died, she was actually still going on Excel spreadsheet courses. It was just phenomenal. And she'd go, oh, you know, I'm just seeing this. And every day was just something that she learned something new. And that was her philosophy. And when I look back and when I think about all the things that she learnt and did in her life, you know, it's amazing. When I think she lived through 2 world wars, when she, you know, cars were really not a commonplace, telephones were not commonplace, laptops, you know, all beyond the wildest of comprehension. And through her 97 years, the amazing changes that she must have seen, and all based on science, all based on this amazing gift that we sometimes actually take for granted. But I also was thinking about my mum, actually. And my mum was another amazing lady. And she very typically, I'm 60 now, but very typically she left school at 16 and became a lab technician. And again, she really loved it because she often used to talk about her time as a lab technician, but it was too short a time, because what happened in those days was you had a career, you had a role, and then you got married, and then you had a family. And I think that was a waste of a talent, actually, because my mum had an awful lot to offer. She was amazing love of literature, an amazing love of art, an amazing love of science. And that passion she certainly instilled in myself and then subsequently my daughters. So I'd just like to fast forward very briefly to here and now, and maybe the future as well. And I have the greatest of privileges of being a grandmother. And anybody here who is a grandparent will know that it is the most amazing of privileges. And my granddaughter calls me Gigi. Alice, forgive me for this, which is gorgeous granny. I insisted that, so she calls me Gigi. And I am her Gigi. And it's fantastic. We've got joint passes to go to the zoo, which is really interesting. She's learning all about animals. But when I think about what we went through in the pandemic, as an example, and she was growing up FaceTiming. She was used to seeing Gigi in this phone. She now is 2.5 and fantastic at using that technology. It's absolutely incredible. And she knows how, she's got a little sort of toy iPad. She knows how to work her way around a laptop. So her start point is incredible when you think about my nan's start point and then my granddaughter's start point. It is absolutely phenomenal. And I think one of the things, and I know we've said this before, but the pandemic has clearly afforded a lot of opportunity for science. And I don't really think I'm going to ever get tired of saying that, because it has given us an opportunity to work collectively. Certainly in the UK, it's given us an opportunity to demonstrate just how brilliant we are at so many things that we do. So I was thinking about you talked about me being science minister. It was the greatest job. It was fantastic, thoroughly enjoyed it, and had the privilege to go and see some of the incredible things that we're doing in this country and collectively around the world. And I think about fusion, you know, it's astounding. I know we're far away, but we are getting closer, and that will change lives. It really will change lives. Certainly, I believe my granddaughters. And thinking about space, I mean, that's where we met, in the, you know, from a space connection, and the opportunities that we have. Anybody who's watching me being streamed into their office at the minute, that is thanks to technology. It's thanks to all those amazing things that are sort of going on around us. And then I was thinking about my great uncle, actually. He died the year I was born, and he was in the World War II. And unfortunately, he was in the RAF, actually, and he got the Distinguished Flying Cross. And he had a crash and could no longer walk. And so he spent subsequently 30 years of his life in a wheelchair, not being able to move from the neck down. But we are now making so many advances. We're seeing prosthetic limbs, we're seeing all of these things, we're seeing these external skeletons that enable people who can't walk to walk. That is life-changing, that is fantastic, and that is why we do what we do. So as from a Science Minister government point of view, I had the great privilege of working on the roadmap, which articulated all the things that we need to do, which is around innovation, making sure that we're enabling innovation. I also had one of the greatest of pleasures in introducing the People and Culture Strategy, because for me, what we need to do is we really need to be, as you were saying earlier, nurturing talent, really engaging enthusiastically, really just making sure that we make these opportunities available for people. So I had a great, a great desire to do that. And you also mentioned very briefly about local impact. And one of the things that I'm doing at the moment is working with the University of Nottingham, Loughborough and Derby, just thinking about how we engage from a STEM point of view. But for me, I guess that the final messages really are that it's all well and good for us to, or for me to stand here and talk about this is what we need to do. What we need to do is we really do need to act. That is singularly the most important thing. I'm an activist. I know that you're an activist. And it is all around just making sure that we are supporting education. It is all around making sure that we do support all of those opportunities. And I just wanted to share, again, just a personal story, really. I never believed that I could become a Member of Parliament, which is why I did it for so late. I wish I'd done it earlier. And the biggest stop to that was confidence. I just didn't believe that I could do it. And actually, I mean, ironically, I did do physics for my GCSEs. But I didn't believe in myself. I had no A-levels really to talk of. I certainly haven't got a degree. I just didn't think that I would ever have the opportunity to do anything. But I think if we can instill in young people confidence, that is so important. It's one of the single most important things that we can do is not just hear, but listen to young people. And I think one of the challenges that we have is around career education. Maybe we'll have some questions about that, because I think it is a challenge, actually, how we really get into schools. Final thing I wanted to say was it is about confidence. It is about inspiring. And I remember the day that we met the amazing Tim Peake, and a great ambassador. And I just sort of hit it off with him. I don't know whether you'll remember me or not, actually. But we had in common this love of young people. I did, as I say, Girl Guiding for 20 years. He's an ambassador for the Scouts. And just around how do we really inspire young people? And we had a great conversation. I thought no more about it. It was approaching Christmas. And he very kindly sent me his book. And it was signed, and it said, "To Amanda, great to meet you," from Tim Peake. And I thought, oh, wow, that's amazing. And then a couple of weeks later, when I had a bit of more spare time, I opened an envelope that was inside the book. And inside the book, there were 3 postcards. One was to my eldest daughter, saying, just a few words. One was to my youngest daughter, again, a few words. And then there was one to my granddaughter. And it said to my granddaughter's name. And all it said simply was, "Aim high." And she now has that in a little sort of picture frame in her bedroom, from Tim Peake saying aim high. And that, I'm going goosebumpy thinking about it, because that is the gift that we should give to young people to get them interested in this amazing, amazing profession. Thank you.